Is a cruise ship cabin the size of a parking spot worth it? To answer that, we're going to look at the MSC Euribia's interior cabin. This room turned out to be the perfect choice for a port-heavy itinerary around the Arabian Gulf. Stick around to find out what the entry-level cabin is like on one of MSC's newest ships. Plus, if you stay till the end, we'll also show you a 2-minute trick that will maximize your perks on MSC, even if you've never sailed with them before through their generous loyalty status match program. The Euribia is one of MSC's newest and largest ships. It's the 5th and final ship in the Meraviglia class. Let me just start by saying I'd never sailed on MSC before. In fact, I'd seen quite a lot about them, most of it less than glowing. But what I experienced was nothing like any of those negative reviews. In fact, as a passenger in their cheapest room, on a line I'd never sailed on before, I felt spoiled. Stuff like this just kept happening, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. I'll be taking an in-depth look at the ship, as well as the itinerary for this sailing in future videos, so if you're curious to learn more, please be sure to subscribe. But today we're exploring the least expensive room on the ship, the interior cabin. Welcome to stateroom 10570, located on deck 10 aft. This ship first set sail in 2023, and the cabin still feels like new. First of all, the bed and pillows were very comfortable. The beds are set up in a queen configuration or can be set up as 2 singles upon request. This cabin has a max occupancy of 2. However, some of the rooms are equipped with 2 Pullman beds, which drop down from the ceiling and can accommodate up to 4 passengers. The bedside tables are narrow but have enough space for phones and glasses and 2 shelves for additional storage. There's also mounted lamps on either side. And while there are no plugs next to the bed, there is a USB charging port on either side built into the sconces. Other than the vanity and storage, which we'll get into in a moment, there is no chair or sofa in the room, and this makes it feel kind of spacious. I mean, as spacious as 183 square feet can feel, which for reference is about the size of the average parking space. But there's a decent amount of open floor space in here, so it never feels cramped. And this square footage is on the larger size for an interior cabin. The desk/vanity is small, but it works. Upon arrival, it's stocked with an electric kettle, teacups, and a complimentary bottle of water. We did receive some extras with the room as the cruise went on, which we'll get into in a moment. In day-to-day use, the desk easily held 2 laptops, and we were able to use it as a workspace and charging station. Aside from the bed, the only other seating was this small stool. As far as outlets go, there were 2 North American style, 2 European, and a single USB-A on the desk. Below the desk is a mini fridge with alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks for purchase. This is easily the most extensive minibar I've seen on a ship. Then there's the storage area, a single cabinet for clothes and everything else. There we found bathrobes, slippers, and the safe. For some, this might be a place where the room doesn't quite deliver, although we had absolutely no complaints and the storage was more than enough for us. For reference, I'm a carry-on only traveler, but if you bring more, and especially if you bring a lot more, it could be a squeeze. The 2 drawers were fairly deep, but there are only 2, so be warned. The closet is also where you'll find the safe. We easily stored our bags under the bed. Near the entrance to the room, you'll find 3 well-positioned hooks. Opposite those, there's a keycard slot, and yes, your keycard does need to be inserted for the electricity to work. You'll also find the thermostat, and I'm happy to say the cooling system in the room worked very well throughout our sailing. And next to that, you'll find the bathroom. As you'd expect in a cabin of this size, the bathroom is small but very functional with modern design. The sink and the area around it are pretty small. The storage area is minimal, which for me was more than enough, but for those traveling heavier, it might be something to consider. A hairdryer is provided and the small trash bin is tucked under the sink. The shower is small but works great and the water pressure was fantastic. There's multiple towel racks and hooks on the back of the door, so there's plenty of space to hang things. We booked this room as an interior guarantee cabin, and we'll talk more about what we paid plus the other room types in a minute. But as a guaranteed cabin, we did not choose our actual room, only the category. And within a couple weeks of sailing, we were assigned this one, which just happened to be on deck 10. The deck above us, deck 11, is dedicated entirely to passenger cabins, so we had no problem with noise, which can be a problem if you happen to have a room that's below or above public spaces. This particular sailing was extremely port heavy, 7 days around the Arabian Gulf, which, spoiler alert, I highly recommend, so we spent very little time in the cabin itself. The time we did spend on the ship was mostly spent outside the room. And that's the main reason we booked this room, port heavy on a large new ship. So the interior cabin made a lot of sense for this sailing. Plus, it yields an undeniable cost savings. But there's every kind of room type available, from single studios all the way up to grand suites. So what did we pay for this cabin on this 7-day sailing? Around $900 per person, or $1,800 for the two of us. We booked this as the Bella Experience, which is MSC's way of saying the room is a guarantee only and we could not choose our cabin. Of course, there were gratuities and extras like internet access on top of that. Who is this room for? If you're on a budget, if you prefer sleeping with the light fully blocked out, if you're a light traveler who doesn't need a lot of storage space, this room is perfect. Also, if you tend to motion sickness, an interior room can be a good option since you'll get more stability in the middle of the ship. Choosing a lower deck is better though, since the ship is most stable on the lower decks. Lastly, I also wanted to talk about the extremely generous status match MSC offers and the perks that came with it. At the beginning of this video, I talked about the multiple perks that kept coming throughout the week. That was because of the loyalty status match we did prior to our sailing. If you're unfamiliar, some lines will offer what's called a status match, meaning if you have loyalty status with one brand, you're likely to stick with them because the perks you get. So competitors will offer status matches to incentivize trying their product without having to give up any perks. MSC has the broadest and most generous status match I've ever seen. They not only match status with other cruise lines, but also with hotels and even certain airlines. I match status with Hyatt, where I have their highest loyalty tier. That translated to diamond status with MSC, which gave us priority boarding, a complimentary bottle of Prosecco, and very tasty macaroons on the night of our arrival. We also received a few other perks, which I'll talk about in my next video. My traveling companion matched with Celebrity's elite level status and received gold with MSC. And in the middle of our sailing, we received another gift. This time, another bottle of Prosecco and delicious cookies. It was these little extra touches that made our already good experience that much better. So if you hold any type of cruise line or hotel status, check to see if MSC offers a match with their Voyagers Club. Overall, on this sailing, the room was perfect. On a less port-heavy itinerary, we may have booked another category of room, but then again, maybe not, because overall this was a great room. Would I book this room again? Absolutely. I wouldn't hesitate. If you're looking to stay in an interior cabin, this is actually a great option. It's also significantly cheaper than every other cabin type on the ship. As far as value for money goes, you really can't beat it. In the next video, we'll take a more in-depth look at the MSC Euribia. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.